Alright, you guys are going to want to take some notes for this. In my Empower program, I go over mindset, routines, fitness, and nutrition. And in the nutrition, I explain to my clients what macros are and why they're important. And today, that's what I'm going to break down for you guys. So first, let's talk about what they are exactly. So macros are short for macronutrients. They're the main nutrients your body needs in large amounts every day. They're what your calories are made of. Every food you eat contains some mix of macronutrients. What are macronutrients? Protein, carbs, and fats. So protein provides 4 calories per gram. It builds and repairs muscle, it supports recovery, and it helps keep you full and reduces cravings. Carbohydrates provides 4 calories per gram. It's the main source of energy for the body and brain. It fuels your workouts and daily activity, helps with focus, endurance, and performance. And fats, it provides 9 calories per gram. It supports hormone production and brain health, and it helps your body absorb important vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K. And it provides long-lasting energy. So you can see how those things would be really important when it comes to fitness. And for some examples of protein sources, we have eggs or egg whites, Greek yogurt, protein powder, tofu, tempeh, beans, lentils, edamame, lean meats, fish, and seitan. And a few carbohydrate sources are oats, rice, quinoa, potatoes, whole grain bread, pasta, fruits, vegetables, cereal or rice cakes, beans, and lentils. And some fat sources, avocados, olive oil, nuts, and nut butter, seeds, coconut oil, and dark chocolate. Okay, so why are they important? Macros impact your body composition, energy levels, and performance. They help determine whether you're burning fat, building muscle, or maintaining your weight. Tracking macros gives you control over your results instead of guessing. So it's not just about how much you eat, it's about what your food's made out of. And the reason why this is so important, because like I said, when it comes to fitness, whether you're just maintaining the weight, trying to lose fat, or gain muscle, instead of going on a strict diet, you can figure out what your macros are and eat accordingly to your goals. That way you'll see faster results, and it's not like, what am I supposed to eat? You're constantly feeling like it's a cycle of not knowing what to eat, eating whatever you think is right, overeating or undereating, all of that stuff. Instead, you know exactly what you're supposed to be eating for your goals, and it's going to help you get your results faster. And so, you're probably wondering, how do I track my macros? I first recommend starting by tracking what you're currently intaking for the first few days and then adjusting it. That way you can also see if you are gaining weight and you're like, oh, why am I gaining weight? If you start tracking your macros and you're like, wow, I'm eating a lot of this, or my calories are really high, or whatever it may be, then that way it can kind of give you a good idea of maybe you're overeating. Same thing if you're like going to the gym constantly, but you feel like you're not really like gaining any muscle. Tracking your macros, tracking the food that you're intaking now is going to give you a good sense of how you need to adjust it. But instead of a guessing game, I'm going to explain to you exactly how to track it and what that means. So a really easy way to track your macros is using MyFitnessPal. There's also a couple other apps you can always look up, but MyFitnessPal is one of my favorites. And you're just going to log everything that you eat. You'll want to weigh your food with a scale in grams or ounces to stay accurate, especially for things like meat, rices, pastas, and you can also measure your food, like use a cup or a tablespoon. If you track your meals before you eat, you can plan ahead, and that helps you stay on target. Always read the nutrition label and include everything, even the oils, the sauces, the dressings. And so like if you are to put a dressing on your salad, just look at the back and see what the serving sizes are. That way you know you're not just putting a ton of ranch all over your salad and in all reality you're eating like 4 servings of the ranch. You'll be able to be like, okay, 1 serving size is this, let's make it do. The most important part is consistency. So tracking daily is going to give you awareness, control, and better results over time. So like I said, I'm going to explain to you exactly how to track and what it is that you're tracking. So there is a formula, but if you go online and search up a TDEE calculator, it's going to give you a calculator that shows you the calories that you should be intaking. You can also do this for your macros, but I'm going to break that down so you have a good idea of like what that means. Now with this calculator, you're just going to put in your age, your gender, your height, your weight, and how active you are. And then once you hit calculate, it'll tell you how many calories you should be eating to maintain your weight, to lose weight or gain muscle. It's going to be right there. You're going to want to break that down though, because yes, it tells you what your calories are, but you don't want to just be intaking a bunch of fat or a bunch of carbs or a bunch of protein. You're going to want to mix it up. And so this is the equation to figure out how many protein, carbs, and fats that you need to be intaking to hit that goal calorie. So with your protein, it's 1 gram per body weight. But if you're trying to lose like 25 pounds or more, you're going to want to do 1 gram per your goal weight. And then with the fats, it's going to be anywhere between 20 to 30% of your calorie goal. However, you're going to be on the smaller side if you're trying to lose weight, and you're going to be on that higher side if you're trying to gain muscle. And the carbs are going to be just what's left over. All right, so I broke this down for you guys because I'm a visual learner. So let's say your goal weight is 140 pounds and you figure out you need to be hitting 1,600 calories, whether it's you're losing weight or gaining weight, okay? So the protein is going to be 140 grams, and you're going to take the 140 grams times the 4, and it's going to be 560 calories. So with the fat, it's going to be 25%. I just kind of went in the middle of that number, the 20 to 30% of the 1,600, because you're getting the percentage for your calorie goal, and that's going to be 140 calories. But to figure out how many grams of fat that you need to be eating, you're going to take the 400, you're going to divide it by 9, and you're going to get 44 grams of fat. So then with your carbs, it's going to be what's left over. So you take the 1,600 and you minus the 560 for the protein calories, and then you minus the 400 for the fat calories, and you're going to come up with 640 calories. But to find out how many grams, you're going to take the 640 and divide it by 4, and you'll get the 160 grams of carbs. And then I have some tips for you guys just to make it a little bit easier to hit your macros to see the results. I always tell my clients to prioritize protein at every meal. So just try not to save it for the end of the day. You want to aim for 20 to 40 grams of protein per meal to support your muscle and control hunger. Another tip is to time your carbs around your workout. You're going to want to eat a carb-heavy meal about 60 to 90 minutes before training for the energy. And then you'll want to eat carbs and proteins afterwards to help with recovery. Don't go over your fat goal. The fat adds up fast, and it takes away room for carbs and protein. So overshooting your fats can slow fat loss, especially in a deficit. Another tip is tracking before you eat. So plan meals in your tracker early in the day. That way it's easier to adjust before rather than later. Focus on whole foods first. Hit your macros with real food as much as possible. High protein snacks are great, but don't rely on the bars and the shakes to hit your numbers. And don't stress over hitting the exact numbers. You don't need to be perfect, but at least aim within 5 to 10 grams of your protein, carbs, and fat target. Consistency matters more than precision. Be honest with your tracking. Every bite, sip, and drizzle counts, especially with sauces, oils, creamers, and alcohol. And another thing is, if you are low on your goals, don't try to cram it all in like right before you go to bed. Just keep it in mind for the next day, and don't overeat the next day. Just make sure you know, okay, if I was low on my protein goals today, tomorrow I want to make sure I prioritize that. That is what macros are and why they are important. I tried to make it as simple as possible, but if you guys have any questions, reach out to me. Also, if you're curious about my coaching program and how it works, I would love to talk to you more about that. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.